Defend your Constitution. Defend your damn Constitution. Before I start anything in this video, I want to give the credit to YouTuber Coleon Nowhere, who inspired this video. Basically, what I want to do is help in spreading this ideology. No, not ideology, but just spreading the right thing out toward the public. So as you already know, Lil Wayne is facing 10 years for getting caught with a gun. I forget which state, but he got caught with a firearm for being a felon with a firearm, which stems from an arrest from probably about a decade ago, where he got caught in New York with one, and he had to serve time. Now, that's a huge problem, and I didn't even think of the case like that until it was brought up by Mr. Nowhere in his video. But it's something that I've spoke out against consistently. He wasn't charged with any violent crime or anything of the sort. Just simply owning a gun, which is part of his constitutional right by the Second Amendment. Who cares what these people in these cities and these city leaders and these governors are saying? It's the law, supreme law of the land that they all swear upon. The right to bear arms shall not be infringed. It's that simple. Doesn't say under a certain circumstance or if this happens, we can take it away. It shall not be infringed. Now, I know that causes a lot of discussion because there's certain circumstances and there's a lot of people that we believe shouldn't own a firearm, should have those rights taken away for understandable reasons. Now, these protections are put in place to protect against tyranny, against, corrupt police forces, corrupt governments, things of that sort. And, at the most simple level, just to protect your home and family as a human being. It's a human right. So, that's where it should start. That's where it should start, and then we go from there. We start having a conversation and say, okay, well, a violent person who has a history of violence with firearms or different things like that. Just a person who presents themselves as a violent person. Okay, that's a conversation to have. People with mental illnesses, that's a conversation to be had. But everybody else is off limits. Just because you have a gun problem in the city, you don't take the guns away from the citizens. You don't charge them because they get caught with one, because the criminals are always going to get their hands on one. Look at the situation. I got a good reference, and it's not guns, but it's something illegal. Look up the boat last year that got seized that had 20 tons of cocaine. Who was that boat owned by? I'm not even going to say it here. I want you to answer in the comment section. You look it up for yourself. Boat seized. This was last year. Was it last year or was it earlier this year? I forget. Time goes so fast. Time moves so fast that, it may have been earlier this year. But I want you to put in the comment section who was the owner of that boat. Then I want you to look at the history of that owner. Real big time. So you can't trust nothing out here. You can't trust anything. You always got to be on your P's and Q's. You always got to keep your head on the swivel, keep your eyes open, and you got to have the ability to defend yourself. The police do not have an obligation to save you in dire situations. Just like the school shooting, was that Stoneman Douglas or Sandy Hook, one of those school shootings, where they tried to blame the police officer who retreated when the shooting started to happen. But then it was ruled in his favor that he did not have an obligation. He did not have an obligation to save those children. And that's what it is for police officers in general if anything gets taken to the Supreme Court level. It's been ruled. They've already had a court case for that in the past. Police do not have an obligation. You are obligated to save yourself in these situations, and you should have the right to protect you and your family. And so Lil Wayne getting caught and being a felon, that should not just simply being a felon, that should not bar him from being able to have that on him. Especially when you're a rapper. He's a rapper. We know what happens in that genre. I mean, just look at all the shootings, that have happened on the industry level and on the local level that we've heard all in the news all throughout the year. He should be able to protect himself. He knows what type of environment he comes from. He knows the company he keeps. He knows what all that shit entails. Got to be able to protect himself. And he should have the right. There's a lot that goes into these conversations. There's a lot that has to be understood. You have to know your history. You got to know about things like MK Ultra and how these different things, MK Ultra is a real thing. These different psychosis programs and how they hypnotize the mind and influence the mind, through different things like drugs and through your television to trigger different behaviors in people. So you don't know where a lot of these behaviors come from, where, you have these shooters, a lot of the shit that goes on in the hood, all the violence. It's not normal, and it's not poverty. Poverty helps facilitate it. Poverty is a part of the reason, but it's not the full reason. It's not just poverty, because there's impoverished areas here in the country where it's not a lot of violence in those places. Stuff happens. There's crime, a little more than normal, but it's nothing that's on a epidemic level. So why is this stuff happening in the hood the way it does? All these cities throughout America. Stuff that has to be investigated. And it's stuff that you're gonna have to get outside of the box on and stop looking at things on a surface level. You're gonna have to start doing your research and understanding the human mind and the history. I mean, these people are literally doing lobotomies on people. So this is, we got to push back against this. Lil Wayne shouldn't be having to defend himself in court over this. Facing 10 years. And he's got the money. It's lucky he has the money to fight this. Most people don't. And that's where a lot of it gets lost in translation, because most people are going to look and say, they don't care because he's a multi-millionaire anyway. He's lived life. So it's, we live in a jealous country. That's what type of society's been bred through media and all type of different things, is jealousy. That's what politics has been based off of, is jealousy. Instead of, getting your own and doing what you got to do, is, hey, look what he's got. I deserve that, and I should have a piece of that too. You didn't put in the same work as that same guy. Yeah, a lot of things have been achieved through deceptive manners, but you can't assume that about everybody. But it all works for the agenda. It all works for the agenda. Can't allow this to keep happening. Can't allow this to keep happening. So protect your 2A rights. Protect your Constitution. Protect the only thing that ensures your liberty in this land. It is an agreement with the leaders, the people you put in power, to make sure that they don't abuse that power. But like I said, if you give them a back door, they'll always find it. And they'll use your fear against you. And most people will comply like little sheep due to their fear. Already trying to take away the revolutionary spirit out of the American people. They do that on a daily basis. They're introducing it to your children to where people are going to reject all revolutionaries. Revolutionaries will always, for the most part, be looked at in a criminal way. Especially when you got somebody who's controlling the media, controlling the narrative that's being put out. And they'll create their own people who they want to prop up as revolutionaries. When in all reality, they're just taking you further and further and further into the abyss. And you think you're getting progress. What happens when you run into this situation? Many people have run into this situation. We end up talking about marijuana, which nobody should be getting charged for because it's a mutual sale. It's a victimless, quote unquote crime. And it's a mutual agreement between two parties. If somebody wants to do damage to their body, that's on them. But it's bigger than that. It's different stuff. It's different things. It's about trying to control the market and all different things behind why they make the different laws and different rules that they make. But this is the discussion that has to be had. And it has to be addressed pretty quickly because we're going deeper and deeper. They've already done enough damage and they're looking to do more. It's people who have control and legislation are looking to do more damage and ruin more lives over simple things like this for people who don't deserve this. And this man doesn't deserve it. This man does not deserve it. So do not let them continue to set this precedent. Let's stop it now and keep this from happening to anybody else in the future. Defend your human rights. I will holler at y'all later.